Welcome everyone. My name is Brooke Cower and I'm the incoming chair for the 2025 IAEE CTC board. We have Michael Triola that's on right now and he's the current chair. So we're excited to see all your faces here and excited to get you plugged in and involved with our community. Coffee and Convos is a great way for us to engage casually and discuss key topics in our industry. And we also have some other opportunities coming up we wanted to let you all know about. So on November 7th, we're going to host an exciting educational program on elevating trade show engagement, where we'll explore innovative trends to enhance our events. So I'll share more details in the chat. We'll send some registration links out, but I'd like to invite you to join us for this in-person event, again on November 7th in Austin. But today we're focusing on sustainability and we have a subject matter expert to lead our discussion. Before we kick off, I just want to thank our sponsors. Freeman is a sponsor, Shepherd is a sponsor, and Houston First is our sponsor. So shout out to them. Thank you so much for your support of our chapter. But to discuss the sustainability today, we have Karen Young. She's a senior manager of sustainability with the Freeman Company, and she brings a wealth of expertise and experience. So we'll hope you gain some valuable insights from today's conversations. And just so you know, Karen is a CEM, a PMP, a WELL AP, and a lead green associate. So she's got lots of experience and expertise to share. Welcome to Coffee and Convos, Karen.
Thanks, Brooke. That was a fun intro. So I like getting letters behind my name, but I think that the sustainability ones are important because every single perspective gives you a different look into the ways to consider sustainability. So really quick, I think the most notable part of my tenure was overseeing the operations for the Greenbuild International Conference and Expo. I oversaw that event for 4 years. That was 14 through 17 show years. We were partnering really closely with Freeman on a sustainability program, from the venue initiatives to hotels to the attendee journey to exhibitor guidelines that we helped really guide them through. So seeing sustainability from that lens, with the Greenbuild event specifically, being a lead credentialed person and knowing that the USGBC is very supportive of that community. And when you get really engaged attendees coming to your event asking the exhibitors for sustainability related questions, you find yourself in situations where you have to answer questions you never thought you'd have to ask. So between lead and WELL is about human health and occupant health, which I think really aligns with our attendee journey. And then obviously CEMs are my favorite because that's just a great thing to know in general. So sorry, I'm going off. I don't have a script, but I've been in the event world for 20 years. I started working in sustainable events about a decade ago. I joined Freeman about a year ago. We're really trying to push a more inclusive, a more collaborative narrative, because the only way to achieve a sustainable event industry is if we work together. So my goal today is that everybody learns something from each other. I have a handful of talking points we can discuss, but I'm more interested to know what you want to hear. There are so many different angles of things that we can talk through. We're releasing a new exhibitor guide tomorrow that I can share out to this group after the call. And I'm just super excited to allow everybody the opportunity to engage. So if anybody wants to come off mute, I would love to learn who y'all are and what you're interested in. If you have a win that you want to share, I find that sharing wins gets people encouraged and can prompt new ideas as well. I can also just present if y'all want.
Right. Yolanda, you came off mute. You have something that you wanted to share with us?
I don't have a win. I'm just looking for more information on things that I can do to implement for our conference. It's a little bit of a battle on my end because typically sustainability is a little more costly. but you know, I would love to see different ways that we can implement it.
And so, Karen, it's John Gonzalez with Houston First at the GRB in Houston. So, I guess one of my questions would be that as a 37-year-old building, we attained a gold LEED certification post-pandemic, and we're working with all of our general service contractors and clients on doing as much sustainability measures as possible. However, what's interesting to me is to know once it leaves the door, where is that going to when it's leaving from the general service contractor side, as opposed from us working with, magpies and peacocks and the food efforts that we donate and essentially send, 12, million tons to the community from a food and beverage standpoint. But I'd like to understand more of where the general service contractor side goes out and that sustainability effort goes back to the community.
Excellent. We want to touch on those 2 points and then kind of wrap back around. Okay. So Yolanda, you are, I think, hitting it right on the head that the very number one thing that comes up the most is cost. There's this assumption that the sustainable choice is going to be the most expensive choice. And I think that in a lot of ways that is correct. Our new exhibitor materials that come out this week are really trying to shift that perspective, because we're using this waste hierarchy model where it's an upside down triangle where the top most important, most impactful section is prevention. So it's rethinking your approach. And this isn't just an exhibitor approach. It can be an organizer approach. It can be in your personal life. I mean, this applies to everybody, but the idea that as you make purchases, make them intentional. Ensure that that item has an actual purpose that will help you reach your goals. If it doesn't, why spend the money there? If it is important to you and your end goal, then absolutely make that investment, but make it an investment that is worth investing in. Make it the best material that's available. Make sure you have an end of life. If it's something that you want to use just a few times, is there a program in place that allows you to put it into a donation program, or is there an upcycling option? So really thinking through the life cycle of what you're buying. I think as consumers, we personally have a responsibility, but then as event planners and as venues and as people organizing and bringing thousands of people together, we have an opportunity to allow this consumer mindset to be impactful, be important. So I think that spending money intentionally is the critical missing step. I'm curious if anybody has anything to add to that or questions.
And I haven't looked into it, but IAEE National released this week a sustainability toolkit to kind of get started with like different steps, Yolanda. And like I said, I haven't started it either, but it might be an easy step-by-step to get started.
I did see that, and I haven't gone back to read it, but it's also trying to get some buy-in from the executive team as well. And I'm sure that probably has information in it, but just wanted to see.
And ways to get buy-in. If Freeman, for one example, we very publicly made some goals with becoming 50% reduction of emissions by 2030 and net zero by 2050. So our leadership, thankfully, it's coming from the top down. So we are very lucky in that perspective because we have the call to action with a backbone to support it and funding to support it. So I realize that we are in a very privileged scenario there. But I think understanding the why behind it is a critical piece to ensure that your stakeholders know the intent. And that can be anything. I mean, it can be environmentally based, it can be human rights based, it can be inclusion based. There's so many things that this industry has an impact on, that finding out what's important to your audience and to the people who are providing funding for your event, tap into whatever's important to them and let them help you drive that narrative. That gives them a seat at the table, that gives you new ideas for sponsorship opportunities, that gives you community initiatives where you can find somebody local that can help support, that can come on site, that can speak. We were talking earlier about F&B, and if there's a local farmer that wants to show off one of their crops that's maybe in jeopardy, then bring them to the event, have them talk about it. So it can be from so many different directions that, and I think telling that story is huge, because so many people are doing amazing things. And I think that's why I started with asking people to tell stories of wins, because people don't even realize they have the wins. There's so many good things that are happening, and we just don't even associate that to sustainability, because it's not necessarily lowering an emission factor. Like it doesn't have to. It's about doing good in your community and making sure that your community can thrive for long term. That's really the underlying goal. And then I'll pop over to things to consider when it comes to facilities and when a general service contractor is moving out. It's a great talking point, because this is one of the huge, I wouldn't say gaps, but I think that there's a huge opportunity here. So from the general service contractor, we have so many different suppliers who provide us materials for items. The majority of our business is rental. So the majority of the items that we bring on site are removed off and put back into storage for cleaning and reuse. That includes carpet programs that we're part of, our flex system for booth builds, furniture, obviously through a number of different providers. But there are a lot of pieces that get left behind. The EAC conversation, when you have an appointed contractor who isn't necessarily receiving the same communications from an event organizer as somebody that's working with a Freeman or anybody else in the GSC world. It's hard to reach everybody, and then things get left behind and we can't identify what it is. So to answer your question more directly, if it gets left behind, it's probably going in the landfill. So that's the unfortunate reality of this industry. And when you look at an event post-show and you see the amount of trash that's left behind, it's really upsetting, because you're affecting that community, and that stays in that community. And then that community has to figure out what to do with it. And to see that firsthand, I mean, that alone is a great tour for an event. Having an attendee go to a landfill or a recycling center and seeing the process and really engaging in what can and can't be recycled. We are at Freeman, we're working on a handful of different programs for fabric upcycling. We have a new vinyl partner to take vinyl banners. We're working on new initiatives with carpet. Really trying to look into our own supply chain. So there's two sides of the life cycle analysis. You have the raw materials that are made up of the product, the manufacturing process to do that, and then the out. So is your material made of recycled content? And then is it recyclable afterward? And is there a program in place to actually do that? There are a number of facilities that we've seen that do have a handful. I mean, there can be cardboard collection or metal collection. Sometimes there's finances associated. If there's a metal pickup, then you could get revenue based off of that as well. Some are cost negative, some are cost positive, some are free. So it's really if you have a auto part show coming in, you may have a ton of metal that's on the event. So that could be a way to drive revenue on the outbound that you may not be aware of. If you have a ton of school supplies, then work with the local community to donate them. If you have garden supply, I mean, I'm spiraling. I think that the concept is that every single event has a different takeaway physically from that event. And your exhibitors are usually the ones who are leaving things behind. from the general service contractor perspective, we are taking things out. The things that are left behind are the things that we didn't have necessarily the control over them. So it's trying to get the right message to those people, and back to the waste hierarchy model. Like, don't bring things that you don't have an intention of needing. If you plan to leave it behind, number one, why did you buy it in the first place? Number two, aren't you doing another event at some point, and aren't you going to buy that same thing again? So where's the benefit of rethinking that process over and over and over and over again? You're spending resources, you're spending funding to do that on repeat when you could just buy it once in a little bit higher quality material and save it and ship it. And you're hopefully long-term coming out on the benefit financially than having to re-spend that money year over year.
Got it. No, thank you. That's very helpful because again, as you work with these international groups, we just finished a international meeting that we had multiple, exhibitors that were just leaving the entire booth. You do what you want with it because the cost of shipping it back to, their countries is cost prohibitive and they'd rather just leave everything with us. But knowing that, again, we have shows that are back to back and then we have to find out what to do with all that material in a day or two, not knowing that and learning that, on the day prior of move out. So no, that's helpful. Thank you.
The international exhibitors is a whole other conversation that it's kind of a personal thorn in my side that I've been trying to identify the root of for years, because we had a number of international exhibitors on the Greenfield event, and it's sad because I think it's with the brokers who are actually bringing them over. So when a show is contracting with international exhibitors, a lot of the times you'll see that there's an international broker that works between the organizer and the exhibitor base. So a broker will get a space of booths on the floor and then sell that in a collective to a group of international exhibitors. The package that's being presented to those exhibitors, from the organizer perspective, they don't necessarily have insight into what's included in that package. So it's almost like a rental system where like a sublet situation on your booth or on your show floor. And that line of communication from the event to the international exhibitor is completely cut. And so we're trying to identify the lead brokers who are working through those contracts and really understand what they are communicating, so that if there is an opportunity there, they just may have never been told that they have other options. And I don't know, I know that the international conversation is happening a lot. I don't know how far anybody's gotten. So if anybody hears of anybody actually making progress, please let me know, because I want to help. And at the same time, on our end, we're doing everything we can to identify opportunity areas there as well. All right. Next topic. Do we have anybody else that wants to present something? Any ideas, any questions? I'm curious what requests everyone's hearing the most. What are you being asked to do?
Being asked to become sustainable, period. She'll know what that means to everyone. I will say, I think one of the hardest things, not the hardest, but like, I think there's a lot of little things we do. Like we just donated all the backpacks to a local school, and like that was really amazing. And they were super thankful, and they sent us a thank you card, and they had notebooks in them, which was awesome because all that did go somewhere. To me, it's the water bottles, and every city is different, and not everyone has a refill station, and everyone owns 20 billion water bottles. And do you want another one, or are you going to bring your own? And I guess I'd kind of like to know how you feel about that.
I also own 1 million of them, and half of them are branded from events. So there's the idea of recommending that exhibitors do branded water bottles. Our new exhibitor materials that are coming out are actually saying, don't do anything. Like, make your conversations, your connections, your takeaways be the value of your business. You don't have to leave somebody with a gift. That's not something that they're necessarily looking for, because if your attendees are traveling in, they don't even want to carry it back. And it's just one more thing that they have to worry about. And the majority of the things that are getting passed out, let's be honest, like, they're probably not that cool. They're cool to like one person in a marketing team that thought it was a fun thing to spend money on. But again, like, did you really need to spend money on that thing, or could you put that investment somewhere else? So when it comes to water on site, I'll use Greenbuild as an example again. And sorry, I keep coming back to that one event. We actually did a ban of plastic water bottles during our time on site. We did the refill stations, but we did a campaign that it was an attendee pledge where you bring your own water bottle on show site. And we asked people pre-show to submit on social media photos of themselves with their water bottles and them packing it and them showing up and carrying it in. And we gave out free tickets to a future year or a free conference pass or whatever to those who would participate in that program. And then we had a pledge wall on the show floor where it was a little magnet board, and everyone got a Greenbuild magnet and they could put it on their pledge. So it was turning off your lights in your hotel room, walking if you're within a mile of the building, bringing your water bottle. What were a couple others? God, this was 10 years ago. I'm digging deep. But just think through the audience and what is important to them. Again, like, that you will get farther if you touch the passion of those who are participating. And when you say, what is sustainability? Like, that's like, just be sustainable has been said so many times, and that can mean 1,000 things. So rather than getting caught up and trying to define it as a general term, define it for you. Find out what it means to your business and to your audience. And as you start to dive into it, then the rest will come. You'll find ways of being more environmentally friendly or more socially friendly, or with regulations that are coming down. We do a lot of business in California, and we're having to bring in new EVs. We are having to rethink the carpet that's left behind. There are now fines associated with those pieces. So once you get the buy-in from the stakeholders because you've tapped into their passion, then you can follow it up because the regulations may be coming behind that too. So it's putting the why ahead of the ask.
That's awesome. I never thought about the walking within them, because we have a hard to, like, people are like, are you going to bus us there? And I'm like, you're within a mile walk. That's actually awesome. I love that
Cool.
idea.
We did a step counter. So we all went to the hotels beforehand, and we did the steps ourselves to eat from each host hotel to the venue. And then we put that in the attendee know before you go thing, like, hey, this is how many steps it took me. How many steps does it take you? And it was just, it's collaborative, it's interactive, it's engaging, and it's fun. It's making it an experience rather than a chore.
Hi, this is Annalisa. I just wanted to say too, like, when we do have people who contact us when they're going to be in the George R. Brown for events, the show manager, we like to talk to them about what they would like to be doing. So sometimes there's going to be donations, sometimes there's going to be food, sometimes there's going to be composting. And then when you said you had a vendor, I need to contact you afterwards about the vinyl person that you have.
Mm-hmm.
You do magpies and peacocks, but sometimes we have a lot of vinyl with the banners. But we do like to work with them to see what it is that they want to do. So a lot of times they want to do donations, or they want to do some kind of activity when the group is on site. And then at the end, that's what we can help them to do, is do the donations in Houston, or without having to travel it back.
Excellent. We're working on building out a citywide reference so that if you were to go to Houston, here are the charity partners that you can work with. Here are some interested groups that are aware of the trade show world and know that these events come in and out every single day. So if there are charity partners that y'all are working with that I can add into this, I mean, we're hoping it's a resource that everyone can use. And it's just another good way of making sure that we're tapping into the individual perspective of an audience and each city. You're essentially starting over every time you travel. And that's part of the challenge.
Great conversation so far. I know we only have a couple minutes left, so just wanted to bring that up and be mindful of everybody's time and see if there are any final thoughts or comments or questions for Karen. It was a great conversation. I learned a lot. I agree, Sarah, with the walking thing. That's a way to spin that around.
Oh, I'm going to use that for sure.
And then think of all the money you're saving on those buses.
Exactly.
Well, that's almost the best part. I mean, the sustainable part is great too, don't get me wrong, but
That's money you can put towards something else.
yeah,
Exactly.
Do
probably.
you have any other tips for us, Karen, that
I'm trying to think back. It's been so long since I've been in the organizer role. I really should have just had a pocket full of tips to throw out when anybody asked, and I unfortunately don't. I will think if anybody wants to keep talking, and then I will try to come up with something in the next couple minutes.
Well, I do want to let you all know about our coffee and convo next month. It's going to be really interesting. For those of you that don't know, there's a lot of convention center remodelings going on around Texas. So we're excited to have some of the major facilities join us. We've got, the Henry B. Gonzalez, George R. Brown, and the Austin Convention Center, I believe. So it'll be interesting to hear from the folks that are in it. So be sure that one's on November 6th. I'll shoot the link in here as well. But will be another good conversation just to hear an update on what's going on. Does that give you enough time, Karen?
It does. Thank you, Brooke. So one other idea. Carpet's kind of a sticky conversation. I personally enjoy it because it makes my feet not hurt after a long day. But there are a lot of benefits to not having carpet from a sustainability perspective and a financial one if you're really talking an investment for an event. I personally wouldn't recommend getting rid of all of it, but maybe in one area, if you have a lounge, remove it from that space and put up a sign, a digital sign, if you don't want to print something, or a note card that just says, "We intentionally removed carpet. Did you notice?" And give us your thoughts. Did it bother you? And crowdsource ideas. There are so many small things you can do as you're walking around. Just take a look at your event and think through the elements and the decisions that got you to that decision. And if there's an opportunity there that you're not sure about, just ask your audience. And half of them probably don't even notice and they wouldn't care if something disappeared. And then the other half is super passionate about it. And then you've learned something new about your audience. And my dog's trying to say hi. But I think really allowing decisions to be made by those you're impacting is with the walking. Like now it's a health aspect. Like it's all for their benefit. That's the whole reason our industry exists. So let's listen to them. I don't know if that was a good enough tip, but I tried.
No, it's good stuff. Awesome. Well, it's 9:30 Central, so I want to be mindful of everyone's time. And Karen, we just want to thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience and expertise with us. I'm sure I learned a lot. I hope everybody here learned a lot as well. Be sure to sign up for our upcoming events, and If you have any questions for Karen afterwards, or I know she's going to be sending out, that exhibitor kit and that sort of thing. So we'll be sure to share that along with you all as well. But keep the conversation going, keep the engagement going. That's what this community is here for. So look forward to seeing you all next month on November 6th for our next coffee convo. Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.